Hey everybody, I'm sitting here with Katie Zimmerman, the head volleyball coach at Spartanburg Methodist, and we're both just living the quarantine dream
The
and
dream.
talking a little volleyball recruiting today. So, Katie, I will turn it over to you and let you give the kids some tips and pointers on recruiting today.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I know we've done a couple of these, so I'm trying to say maybe a few things different, but when you're talking recruiting, especially during this time, a lot of things are the same. So you might hear it and it may be repetitive, but it's good stuff to know. So I'm first going to talk about emailing. So that is one thing. Right now, coaches are dying to recruit because this is huge recruiting season for volleyball. And since we can't be in a gym, we're on our computers, we're watching film, we're on the phone, we're still recruiting just as much as if we were in the gym, just in a different place. So you need to know how to email and email well. I think the biggest thing that people miss is that we are humans and we read them. And so they need to be professional, they need to be personalized. We need to know more about you when we're done reading the email than when we began, other than that you're a setter and that you're 5'5", and so the first thing would be, I think, the subject line. You want to grab our attention. You need to put your year, your position. If your height helps you, put it. If it doesn't, maybe leave it out. And then either where you're from or your name. So Katie Zimmerman, 6 foot outside, 2020, whatever. And remember, you are recruiting yourself, so this is the time to brag, per se. So you want that in your subject line. Hello, Coach Zimmerman, or hi, whatever. You don't want to just say, hey, comma. Make it professional, make it personalized to the school that you're talking to. Make sure that the school, if you abbreviate it, it's the correct abbreviation. Easy example, my school is Spartanburg Methodist College. Some people get that confused with SMU, which is a large Division I in Texas. And I'm like, sure, you can absolutely come to my school, not the school that you're thinking of. So make sure that prior to sending, you're very aware of abbreviations and stuff like that. But we want to know about you. Obviously, we want to know what club you play for, what's your schedule like. We want to know how your high school season went, literally anything. Obviously, during this time, what are you doing with your time? Like, are you on Netflix the whole day? Are you trying to find ways to get better via your sport or in your school, in your classroom? I know that everybody's going through this time together. And so just being real with us, saying, school is tough. It's weird to be online. I miss my friends, all of those things. But part of life is adapting. And so as we're adapting, we want to know how you're adapting and bettering yourself in this really weird time, because there's going to come a time in college when you're on our team and things are going to go wrong and weird and not how you expect. And the best just humans are able to adapt and see the best of things. And so make sure you're filling us in on what that looks like. Other things in your email, your film, obviously, it should always really have film if you have it. And that doesn't have to be super fancy. I know some people, there are so many recruiting sites, which can be really helpful, but we just need to see, this much, just a couple, if you're an attacker, a couple swings, a couple block moves, passes. We don't really need to see how you serve, because generally everybody serves unless you have something super original about it. But keep it short. We're probably not going to watch a 5-6 minute video, to be quite honest with you. So your highlights, your really big highlights, put them out there, and we would love to watch them. The last thing I would say is setting up a phone call. We do not like talking on the phone that much anymore, and it is so much easier, I promise you, if you set up a time to call a coach and you have that conversation with them. You are going to stick out much more than just your name and an email, which so many other athletes are doing. So make sure you set up a time to call, or you could call whenever. Coaches will answer any time of day. Our job is not 9 to 5. And so you can always send a text beforehand saying, hey, coach, I'm planning on calling you at 4 p.m. Then hopefully if depending on what age recruiting class you are, they can either respond or they'll just try and schedule their time around when you call at 4, they can pick up. And then that constant communication can just continue over time. Maybe it's every other week, maybe it's, once a month, depending on where you are in the recruiting process. But just keeping that open conversation of what's new in life, how are you doing, how are you bettering yourself, those kind of things. And then the last thing about emailing, well, maybe not, but what I'm thinking, the last thing is proofread it. You should be writing your emails, not your mom, not your dad. They can definitely give input, but we want to hear from you. And we know if your mom is writing it or if you are writing it. And so it's okay, just be yourself, but this is not a texting conversation. So write out complete sentences, your full words, make sure you're spelling things correctly. Obviously, we have, autocorrect a lot of times, so just proofread. It's super important, and it shows that you care about what you're doing. So yeah, I would say that is kind of the email side of things right now, just be in contact with your coaches. Other things, though, that I think we forget to talk about are we're looking for the whole package, the whole student athlete package. So you might be an amazing athlete, but if you maybe have poor grades or aren't a great teammate, so many other things that it might inhibit you from going to that school that you love. So we are looking for leadership skills on and off the court. What are you doing to better yourself? Are you doing community service? That's something that a lot of people just forget about, but especially during this time when so many people are in need. How are you able to set yourself apart and just like show that you are loving and caring and for other people, because that will continue, through your college career. Are you, with a personal trainer via online right now, or what are you doing to better yourself athletically? Are you, have you set up a crazy backyard thing with, the board for dad to hit volleyballs at you, or, anything like that? Just what are you doing to make sure that in all areas of life, not just volleyball, you are, setting yourself apart and bettering yourselves. Social media is a huge thing, especially when we're on our phones all the time, that we would love to see what you're doing. However, you are your own brand. And that can be a good thing, but it also can be scary because it's a lot of responsibility. And so I would encourage you, before you post something, see, other than if your mom would approve, that's probably important, or your grandma. But, the college coach that I'm trying to impress, that I would love to go to that school, do you think that they would like what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, how I'm spending my time, all of those things? And I think a lot of, high schoolers right now, they will just reply to something that they'll throw their opinion out there. Sometimes it can be great, intellectual. Other times doesn't help their case so much. So I would just be very aware what you're saying on social media, because coaches really do look into that, and they can see everything because they want to see how you are on the court, but a lot of the times more so how you are off of the court. Kind of last thing around what you could be doing during this time, are you spending it wisely going forward in the recruiting process on like narrowing down schools? So if you're younger in the recruiting process, you might just be starting to look, and that's totally okay. This is a perfect time to do that. If you are narrowing it down, maybe does that mean you can drive if it's a local campus? Within a couple hours, everybody has different rules right now, but you couldn't see people, but you could also just drive to a nearby campus to compare. You're going to go on a visit in the fall, then you'll have something to compare it to, whether that's just driving around, seeing what restaurants are close, how big the campus is, all of those things. This is a perfect time for you to get out of the house, but with some quality time, maybe with mom or dad, and, seeing a campus just on your own, not really obviously with any interaction. Grades right now are huge, so you're almost done with school, so keep pushing, but really got to make sure that that's the number one thing prior to even being able to be eligible. You have to get those grades up. And then last thing I think about with recruiting, depending on where you are in the process, make sure that you can look to see if the school needs your position for your year. So that's another huge thing. You might want to play at an amazing school and they might love you, but it's not the best fit for you that year. And so you can do that all the way. So freshman right now, if that's where you're starting, seems like a long ways away, but those Division I schools are already, looking at that class, and you can see, okay, are the freshmen this year, what positions are they? Juniors, if you're looking, when you graduate, will your position, be open, or do they have, 7 DSs that are freshmen right now? That's just a good area to see, and you can put that in your email. Hey, I see that you have, your 2 stud outsides graduating. You don't really have that many pin players coming up. I'm really, I'm outside that would love to be a part of your program, something like that. But that shows that you looked at their roster. You can see, who's been playing, stuff like that. And sometimes if they have your position already filled, then it's just maybe not your best fit. And that's just something to know ahead of time, especially when you're emailing coaches. But keep killing it, you guys. I know this is a weird time for everybody, but coaches want to hear from you and see how you are reacting to this crazy time and bettering yourselves through it. So thanks.
Awesome, Katie. Thanks so much for all the tips and pointers for the kids, and keep enjoying the quarantine dream.
Yeah.